I'd like to welcome each one here this evening. I'd like to begin our meeting by acknowledging the land in which we gather is the traditional territory of Nishnawbe, Ottawa, and Mississauga peoples. Confirmation of agenda that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby approves the agenda for November 3rd, 2025 council meeting as presented. May I have a mover? Councillor Wright, Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interests in the general nature of? Seeing none. Consent agenda that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent item 4.1.1 and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 4.1.2 to 4.3.13 for information purposes. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, Councillor Van Hitterson. Would anybody like to pull anything from consent? Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. I just want to bring attention to 4.3.12, and that's about the Christmas dinner that the Lyles help organize, and it's in December, and we've always had some counselors attend to be greeters, and so I just want to bring that to everyone's attention, and hopefully, if I'll be there. Paul will probably be there, and hopefully there'd be others. And the need is there is required for greeting. So thank you.
Would anybody else like to bring anything forward? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. (6.1.1) Are there any questions for Plan 2025-04 Parkland dedication in cash in lieu of Parkland bylaw? Are there any questions here for Director Lamb? Go ahead, Councillor Deputy Reeve, please.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see, has there been a study as to the change from the dollar value to the 5% and the 2% in lieu of Parkland as to whether that is sufficient? Like, there was no background as to what we collect now versus what we would collect at 5% to what the change would be, because it falls back to the municipality if developers are not putting in their own parks and such, that it becomes the municipality's responsibility. Is that enough for us to fulfill that responsibility?
Through your worship, to answer Deputy Falconer's question, no study has been on the been conducted on the financial impact, but in large part, the cash in lieu we collect as a municipality is largely related to severances. So the flat rate $500 for severances. We don't have a ton of scenarios historically where we've had to collect through draft plan of sub. We will have some coming up, obviously, with our Hutton Heights development. But in regard to cash in lieu that we collect as a municipality, it's certainly not significant dollars compared to a larger municipality. So really the intent of this policy was just to codify a process so that it's very clear for our developers or planning applicants of when it will be collected and at what time in the process.
Any other questions for Director Lamb? Seeing none, I need a mover. Deputy Reeve, Councillor Palmer, all in favor? Carried. 6.1.2 CL 2025-18 schedule for 2026 regular meetings of council. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Hitterson. Seconder, Councillor Wright. Are there again any questions for Director Lamb? Seeing none. All in favor? Carried. 6.2.1 Finance 2025-19 2026 draft fees and charges bylaw. This time we'll ask senior management to present the PowerPoint, please.
Hi, through you, Reeve. Here we have the presentation for the proposed 26 fees and charges bylaw. An annual review that we do for looking at what our fees and charges to the residents of the township are. We are considering costs for providing the services as well as comparative municipal data from immediate municipalities as well as those that are in close proximity to us. So when we go through this, we are trying to provide feedback in terms of what fees are changing, how much they're changing by, why we're changing them, what our goal is, as well as some of those comparatives again. So we are trying to better recover actual costs as provided with these services, incorporate certain types of inflation, as well as align the rates with the people around us. The following slides, and we're going to try to switch this up for next year in terms of how we're presenting this. What you're seeing now is where a little visually confusing, I would say, a little bit in some of the spots where it's crossed over. So we are going to try to switch some of that presentation to make it a little bit easier to read. But for the most part, you will see with the track changes where those rates have been scheduled for updates. Most of these changes are going to relate to recreation and some public works departments. So we'll pass those questions off as we get through those departments. Starting with administration, the only change that we are requesting in administration is for a reprint of a statement of account. And that one is just moving it from the $30 that we have down to the $10 that we are proposing to align with the cost of providing that service and comparative municipalities. For the next slide, I'm going to pass this off to Director Lamb.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is actually the other one in administration that we're changing. So it's for document commissioning. Really, the intent is to align with the market. So looking at our comparator municipalities, we are similar, but the only difference is that ours is currently $25 when you add HST, and most of the others are $25 plus HST. So small change, but would change the fee from a $25 fee, one with HST included, to $28.25. So, and then in regard to licensing fees, so the first slide there is some comparator municipalities in regard to civil marriage ceremonies. So first column being the civil ceremony itself. After a review, we think our civil ceremony fees themselves are sufficient. The second column being rehearsal fees charged, and the third column being cancellation fees. So on the slide before you, Clerk Sperman, we're proposing two new fees with that. First one is a civil ceremony rehearsal fee. This is something that our marriage officiants have been requesting for quite a while, recognizing that when there's a rehearsal ceremony, it does require some extra of their time out of their day, usually the day before. So the intent of this fee would be $75 for those that select to have a rehearsal ceremony, and that fee would be reimbursed 100% to the civil officiant in recognition of the additional time it requires them to attend the rehearsal. And that would align with a few of the other municipalities providing the service for how they structure their fees. And the second one is a civil ceremony cancellation fee. And this is really to recover some of the time that the municipality invests when couples kind of no longer decide to proceed at the last minute. So it's not additional funds. It would be included as part of the civil ceremony fee collected up front, the $375, and we would just we would retain that for any cancellations that occur within 72 hours of the ceremony. And then in regard to food truck licenses, so comparators before council on the slide deck in regard to similar structures, food trucks mainly tied to events on municipal property. Looking at the comparators, North Huron is a little low in comparison to the rest of the market in the area. So we're proposing to increase it from 150 to 200. This is also in recognition that there's significant staff resources required to review these applications in regard to insurance, site plans, propane certifications. So obviously $200 does not recover the township's costs, but it would be a good start in recovering some costs while still aligning with the market. So those are the proposed changes to Schedule B.
We ask questions as we go along. Would that work for
Yeah,
everybody?
That'd be best. Counselor Palmer, yes?
Okay, next going to pass it to Director Watson.
So we had a good look at the cemetery fees and with the additional cremation interment at the same time at the same grave, we were looking at $200. We looked at the niche and it was $200 as well. We want to change the wording as in the same grave and in the same niche to add that for clarity. We go back one. In the landfill operations, since we will probably be moving towards a wheelie bin type of garbage pickup in the next contract, we've decided to remove the bag tag price. And we won't be needing that anymore with the wheelie bins. So we're intending on removing that. We would like to reduce the entrance permit deposit from $2,500 to $500. We did the comparables on probably 8 or 10 of the other municipalities and found this to be quite high. So we want to bring that more into alignment of our neighbors. So we'd lower that $2,500 to $500. And we will leave the application fee at $261.75.
So for Schedule F, the planning fees, those were increased across the board with a CPI rate of 2%.
Excuse me, Treasurer, would that work with the county too? That's how those changes went, I take it?
Yeah, so I can answer that one, Your Worship. So the county planning fees, council will recall a report from last year, which changed the process for how fees used to be collected. So it used to be evaluated on a 4-year basis. Now there's a calculation based on CPI. So that calculation has been included, and then so it gets approved at county council as well as the local municipalities. So this all aligns with the county fees. So the schedule before you is what was sent to the township by the Director of Planning for the county, minus the other type of planning applications portion within the slide deck where those are within North Huron's discretion. But when in the clerk's department, when we looked at a review, we continued to remain in line with the neighboring municipalities on those ones. So we didn't propose any changes there.
Thank you.
So next is Schedule G, the recreation and facilities fees. And I would like to invite Jason Horseman, our aquatics coordinator, and Rochelle Gary, our recreation and fitness supervisors, to the podium as they participated quite a lot in the preparation of not only the fees, but also of the comparative analysis and some of the background information. So they're also available to present but answer some questions. So before you, there is the previous motion of council. So some of the changes in this document, or all of the changes, either reflect direction from council or feedback that staff have heard within the community from our users or residents as they come through our facilities. There are, the first slide is really highlighting a number of the high-level changes throughout. So I didn't do screenshots of every change because there are a lot of changes throughout this document. Where there are fee increases, those are at 2%. So again, trying to keep in line with a modest increase that equates with our cost of living at about 2%. There are some places where there are no changes, and we will explain that in a little bit more detail. And there are some new things that are being presented to you this evening. So one of the first new things is the reintroduction of the complete membership. And so that will allow individuals, seniors, and students to purchase an all-inclusive membership from us, either on a monthly basis, a 3-month basis, or an annual basis. And this was something that we heard loud and clear through the surveys. We hear it multiple times as people enter our facility, and we wanted to bring that back. It was a popular membership option a couple of years ago, and so we wanted to bring that back. I'm now going to turn it over to Jason to present on aquatics.
Through you, Reeve Heifer. For our aquatic instructional fees, we are just recommending a 2% increase in line with cost of living determined by council, as well as we are recommending that we set the fee for swimming lessons in particular by the actual individual lesson rather than the block in totality, as the lesson block lengths have been changing from 8 weeks to 5 weeks more often with our pool schedule. We are also recommending that from parent and taught all the way up to swimmer 10, all the prices of swimming lessons be the same, as we're no longer offering a 45-minute lesson at the higher levels. We are sticking to a half-an-hour lesson across the board. For aquatic memberships, we are recommending that we remove the family rate for the Aquafit membership, as it was not used, and yeah, it's not used. We are also recommending just a 2% increase for the rest of the membership options for aquatics.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
For you, Jason, just wondering about the Aquafit. It says $49, well, $50 to $40 by age. Can you define that?
Yeah. Sorry. Let me just get my other page up. So for Aquafit, sorry. Sorry, I'm not seeing what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that refers to our rates as if they were a student or a senior, or our all ages membership. So our senior rate refers to anybody over 55 years of age. For our aquatic drop-in rates, we are recommending a new rate that sits in between our under 5 free pass and then our student rate that starts at 14 years of age of $4. This would be for when a parent brings a young child in for a swim. Instead of paying the all ages fee, they would be paying a $4 rate for them to swim with their child. For the rest of the drop-in rates, we are recommending that there is no change at all this year, as we compared to other municipalities around us, and we found that we stayed in line with all of them. I will now pass the floor back to Kelly.
Thank you, Jason. So continuing to move through the package on Schedule G, we are offering, are proposing to offer some new rates for a student and seniors rates in the fitness center. We are finding that there we do have quite a few students who like to use the facilities and trying to gather more people and create a membership option that would attract more of those individuals in. We have renamed the courts to the multipurpose gym. As you know, we are almost complete with that project, and we're starting to welcome people into that space. There is the next section is really around the arenas, the arena floors, the dry pad, the meeting rooms, the Blythe Hall, and some of our rentals. And so just proposing a 2% increase on all of those rental rates. The Wingham Town Hall Theater is proposing no change, and I bring that information forward as per the Community Engagement Coordinator. The Blythe camp, oh, yes.
Excuse me, go ahead, Counselor Palmer.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Sorry, Kelly. About the ice rental, just comparing, and I'm thinking of our junior C and the littler guys, what are they called? The minor sports guys. Now our rents or fees are higher than the comparators. Now we've had a group in regarding that, and you know, should we have a change here or not? Like, should we push this envelope? Because I feel it's an envelope comparing to others.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Palmer, and I'll turn it over to Rochelle to also provide some context. So what we've provided as a recommendation to council this evening around the ICE rates is no change to the blocked rate. So what's unique about the Township of North Huron is that we offer a blocked rate to our youth groups. And so that allows them to purchase a specific amount of ice at one time, and it gives them a lower price. So that's the $156. Let me just make sure I've got the right number here. $156.11 before taxes. So the recommendation we have to you this evening is that there would be a 2% increase to everything except for the youth prime blocked rate. That in light of the presentation at the last council meeting, we left that as no change. But certainly, you know, would take council's recommendation on if you would like to see something different. I'll turn it over to Rochelle just in case you want to talk a little bit about the youth prime blocked rate and perhaps who does it affect?
Heifer to Councillor Palmer. The youth prime blocked rate is normally for all minor groups such as skating club, Wingham Minor Hockey, broom ball. It is not for those teams that you have to try out for or an elite team, such as the Junior C hockey or any AAA that comes to town to skate. So it is basically our core youth hockey skating groups. And that is the 156.11. And it's a blocked rate, meaning that they skate at the same time, at the same night for the entire ice season. And they're blocked in. They cannot cancel their ice once they're in their block. They have to stay in the block. But that's not to say if they can't use a certain time that they can try to sell their ice to another group. And then they deal with that money exchange between those two groups. Or they tell us, we're not coming for our block. Okay, that's fine. We'll let the rec operators know, whatever. And if we hear someone that wants that time, we can try to sell it for them as well. But now the only time that doesn't take place is if there's a snowstorm and no one can make it, we don't charge them for that ice time.
Um, yeah, I wasn't sure where the minor hockey guys fit in, because in the notes, I think it's talks about non-blocked, youth non-blocked. I thought,
Not in that block of, for example, Wingham Minor Hockey, mostly it's Tuesday and Thursday nights, all the way through the ice season.
yeah, okay.
If a minor group wants to come and just book at the prime time rate and not block in for the entire season, that's where the youth prime non-blocked rate comes into effect. And for example of that, the Junior C Club, they do not do blocked ice. Mind you, they pay the adult block, but it is less expensive for them to do the non-blocked rather than the block time, because their season isn't as long and they're not as strictly in a night. Usually it's Friday nights they play, but not always. So it's less expensive for them to do it that way.
Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you. Through your, could you shed some light on what the reasoning behind North Huron using the prime adult blocked rate and the youth rate when all the comparative arenas that you've placed on here is not applicable? What's the thinking behind North Huron's the only one that does this?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Faulkner. The blocked rate and non-blocked rate has been around since I've been around, and that's a long time. The rationale that I know of is just because it was easier for allocating the ice for the different groups, and it was easier for the groups as well as the staff, so because we knew who was all coming. Why the other municipalities do not have that, I really don't know. I honestly thought it was something that was across the board, but North Huron has been using that for years.
Okay. I just have one question, like the comparator numbers that you had up there, those would be last year numbers, right? What they're paying last year. They're not
That is
current
correct.
numbers that they're charging this year, right? So
Yeah.
that'd be a bit of a difference there too. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So I'll just continue on. So the Blythe Campground, we did make a change to the daily campsite rate to where we rounded it to $60, so that was a better exchange of money at the campground, because we still have people who do pay through cash. We have also introduced a tent site fee for a maximum of up to 2 tents per site. That was something that was requested quite a lot this year, and being adjacent to the G2G trail, it is a nice rate to be able to offer those who are cycling through Blythe to venture on in either direction. There is a typo in there under park amenities. The rate for the private per day was listed as the same rate as private per half day. But I think we can manage the typo it would to fall in line with the same rationale. It would be a 2% increase as well. In terms of public skating admissions, we are introducing a family rate where we're trying to find ways to increase engagement, and perhaps a family rate, for $20, a family can come and enjoy an afternoon of skating together. We talked a little bit about the ice arena rates. The annual rink boards and ice logos have gone up 2%. We are introducing a late fee for the ice logos, because after August 1st, if businesses don't have their information into us, it does create quite a bit of more work for staff to have to install a logo. So we want to try and create an incentive for businesses to come to us prior to August 1st. And then the other piece, as per the advertising, naming, and sponsorship policy that council recently adopted, there are now sponsorship rates within this schedule.
Excuse me, Director Stace. I was just wondering, you mentioned about the family rate for skating now. The family, 6 boys, 7 boys, girls, like the number, I'm just wondering what you mean by family rate, like numbers.
For sure. So thank you, Reeve Heffer. We provided a definition at the beginning of this schedule that a family would include 2 adults and up to 3 children. We were trying to provide some parameters around family size and trying to encourage some adult participation within that. So that is the definition that we are offering up to council this evening.
Through you, Reeve. Director Stice, we are back to the sports field. Right.
Thank you. So in your package, you will find some comparative data for the sports fields, which include our baseball diamonds, the soccer field that is at Galbraith Park, and the volleyball court, which is at Riverside Park. There is a proposal for an increase of 2%. And as per Reeve Heffer's comment earlier, our proposed fees are for next year, and we're comparing fees against municipalities' current rates. So it's not quite apples to apples, but it's certainly gives us and council a benchmark around where you would like to sit.
Let's go ahead. Councilor Palmer, please.
What would, okay, that's per hour. What would a typical game go? Couple hours?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, I'm going to refer that to Rochelle, given her expertise in this.
You, Reeve Heffer, Councilor Palmer. And on average, a game is about 2 hours, 90 minutes, 2 hours for a baseball game. And soccer for that matter.
I hate to say it, but could almost go up. We're low. Was that considered, or like, I'm glad it's there, but we are, just to be honest.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Palmer. We are presenting these rates and this 2% increase based on some of the feedback that council would have received last year around some ball diamond fees and a request from some of the ball users in Blythe specifically to pay attention to our rates, especially around, we don't offer tournament rates, which some municipalities do. And so I think this helps us keep in line with some of those kind of heavier used weekends.
Yes, I'd just like to comment there too, through Director, that that ball field down there gets a lot of business through the week, which is very, very nice seeing that. Thank you. Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. I'm trying to get the reasoning for people to do comparisons as we do get back, how you're complaining our rates were high last year and that we were losing in a league because they could have went to cheaper to the neighboring municipalities. And according to these rates, that's not the case. But I'm just wondering for clarification that we're the only municipality that puts on an hourly rate for them to compare against. I just was wondering why we weren't just per game rate like the rest of the community, like the rest of the townships around us and towns around us are all per game, and we have a different scale. Unless we're going to have someone there with a stopwatch, cutting it into an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, rates, if a ball game's going to be more than an hour anyway, you're still going to lose that timing, and you're only going to be able to have 2 games per evening in the summer anyway. Why we don't have it as a game rate? Cool.
Through you, Reeve Heifer, to Deputy Reeve Faulkner. I'm not sure of the rationale, the history of how those rates are assigned. It is something when I look back, that's been a historical way that we've done things, and so it just seemed to make sense. But if council would like to direct us to maybe look at things a little bit differently, we can certainly do that now or in preparation for fees and charges next year.
Councillor Palmer, please.
Thanks, Reeve. Yeah, I think so so users, they can compare apples to apples. Like the Deputy Reeve is quite correct here. You should maybe go with a 2-hour average and then they can compare, and we still have a great rate compared to others. And then we're getting the whole game value-wise.
Deputy Reeve, please.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Reeve. Just another follow-up too. We are also the only municipality that separates out our baseball games and our light fees. So the other municipalities are having a higher game rate, but that's including the hydro rates for the lights. We're the only ones that pull that apart. So it just makes it hard when someone's looking at one ball diamond versus the other ball diamond. You have to add in this fee, then that fee, and then an hour, 2 hours of this fee. Where in the other municipalities, it's quite straightforward. This is what it costs for your game, regardless of whether it's day or night.
Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, Listowel drags it out. It separates at 30 and 60. No lights and lights. So should we be? Well, you got a flat rate on the light fee. The game would be a little bit higher than the lights. So you're gonna have to adjust. Yeah.
Okay.
Through you, Reeve, on to Schedule H for water and wastewater. All of these rates were adjusted in accordance with bylaw number 77, 2024. That bylaw indicated residential rates going up 4.5% and 10% increase on the sewer. 4.5 for water, 10% on sewer. So those were prescribed across the board.
Schedule I is the North Huron sorry.
Deputy Reeve, please.
Yes, through you, Reeve. In the breakdown, we still have like residential wastewater fees beyond township borders.
Mhm.
In this there, and the amounts are different. Are we still charging the 1.5%?
I'll pass this over to Clerk Lamb, please.
Yeah, through your worship, to answer Deputy Falconer's question, so there's 2 scenarios, right? So there's the existing agreement with Morris Turnberry, and then there's the users beyond that. So in this case, Central Huron. So North Huron and Morris Turnberry did strike an agreement for cross-border servicing. In that agreement, it says that Morris Turnberry will get the resident rate. So our finance team, they've implemented that into their processes. And for any Morris Turnberry properties that are cross-border connected, it's at the resident rate based on the provisions of that agreement between the 2 municipalities. However, we do still have properties beyond that, namely in Central Huron, where there's no agreement that they will get it at the resident rate. So that's where that beyond North Huron boundaries, non-resident rate still applies.
Okay, follow up.
Yeah, so I just would you not consider that putting the south of the township at a disadvantage as far as regaining and retaining commerce in the area?
Through your worship to Deputy Falconer, I guess that's a question for council to consider. there's no reason why a cross-border servicing agreement couldn't be struck with the municipality of Central Huron. That's council's prerogative, and staff could proceed as directed. But basically, I guess what's before you tonight is the fee schedules as they are required to be based on the existing agreements you currently have in place with other municipalities.
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
As far as this particular draft, I think it would be prudent to put an asterisk or something beside that particular column and then clarify it at the bottom so any viewer of this will understand.
Through your worship, you could. It's not common practice to do so. You have those provisions in the existing agreement. That's what's binding. And the agreement with Morris Turnberry, basically, council will recall the way it was developed was that we would charge based on the existing fee structures as they were. So we went through a practice for many years to try and not reflect items independent of the fees and charges bylaw in the fees and charges bylaw, because as soon as those change, then you have to open up your fees and charges bylaw to amend it.
Deputy Reed, please.
Yes, then I'd like to go on record in saying that I'm not in favor of the different charges between the two. As long as it states beyond township boundaries, I think then it should be equally expressed across the board.
Okay. Councillor Palmer, please.
That's the way it is today, and that's how we deal with it. Need to have make a motion, or it has to become an item on the agenda to deal with it further. But as it is today, like when I first saw this, I kind of flipped out on Paul, like what's going on, because I knew that we had passed that through MT. It would be par basically, and then I understand Kevin got into it, and I was concerned about it because I didn't see it correct, and only partly correct, I guess. So that's why I thought of of an asterisk or something, some note. I know, okay, you're saying it's not not common, but at this point, we've got two deals going on regarding the same fee structure. So we have different municipalities with different
Yeah, but no.
fees.
To clarify, yeah, you have one arrangement with Morris Turnberry that is basically they will get the resident rate,
Mm-hmm.
which is as reflected in the Township of North Huron's fees and charges bylaw. And then anything beyond that, where there are no provisions in place, is when your other fee would be applied. And that's no different. That was a common practice for many years. So for example, Morris Turnberry used to get the resident rate for cemetery services, right? And so it was structured through an independent agreement, not necessarily in the fees and charges bylaw.
Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, I just want to point out to council that the reason we entered into a cross-border servicing agreement with Morris Turnberry is we provide them services around Wingham. They provide us services in Belgrave, right? So that's why it was in our interest to reach an agreement and theirs. The same situation doesn't exist with Central Huron. They don't provide us any services. So that's why we've never considered a cross-border servicing agreement, because the services just go one way.
Okay. Deputy Reed, please.
I think you'll find that North Huron does have cross-border services in the south, in the Blythe Ward.
Okay, we're starting to get off topic here a bit, so that I think going to move this on, please.
Through you, Reeve. We are moving on to Children's Program Schedule I.
So before you are the proposed fees for the children's programs, or our daycare and before and after school programs. This is a bit unique because we are guided by the Ministry of Education with respect to how we are able to offer maximum fees and the subsidies that the township receives through the county. So you will, what is presented to you today are those maximums as well as some minor changes throughout. There are references to $10 a day daycare, which we've been asked about. And so that is a program that the province is in the process of implementing across the province. It hasn't come full implementation to North Huron yet. Our maximum, or the rate that most parents pay is $22 a day. So that's the rate that we have with the province. The rates before you are what we would pay if we didn't have those subsidies, if we didn't have things like the CWalk, you might have heard, or the wage enhancement programs that the provincial government has introduced, and we have the benefit of receiving.
For Schedule J emergency services, non-emergency fees, there are no proposed changes. Schedule K development charges, these are also adjusted in accordance with bylaw 74/2021. These are prescribed that they will be amended at the non-residential building construction price index for Toronto. For 2026, that rate was calculated at 4.1%. Then the next few slides just show the old rate and the new rate at the prescribed percentage.
Okay,
Any
at this
further-
time, are there any questions for any of the senior? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. So it wasn't really, well, part of it was covered in the presentation, some wasn't, so that's why I'm going back to it. The winter, or the burial rates for niches. So I guess I just want to understand that again. Because the fee for a resident for interment is $113. A non-resident is $226. So I'm not sure what the additional interment for $200 is, when that applies. And it's not specific on whether it's a resident or a non-resident rate. So it's actually more expensive than a resident rate, but cheaper than a non-resident rate. So that's why I'm confused about what the $200 is for.
Through you, through you, Reeve, to Councillor Wright. We actually looked at that today, and that was something we didn't actually catch when we were going through the cemetery bylaw. But we can look at that maybe as an amendment in the new year to bring that back into line where it would make some sense. So we may change the wording to that so that it may include both.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. It's just maybe about 50% for two interments at once or something. The other thing, and I don't know if I need to make a motion here too, but I think there should be a separate winter burial rate for niches. To me, it's like our costs incurred in order to do a winter burial in a niche would probably be much less than a winter burial with, 3 feet of snow and frozen ground. I don't like, I'll ask staff that question. Does that seem to make sense? If we're going a cost recovery model, that our cost for a winter burial niche would be significantly less than a ground interment?
Through your Reeve to Councillor Wright. We're hoping that with the bylaw update, we're going to be giving more power to the director to use common sense to do burials when we can do burials, and not when the calendar says we can do burials. So basically, if we can't bury somebody in the ground, we're probably not going to put them in the niche either, because we'll have to plow the driveways in. We have to treat the niche burial the same as any other funeral. We'll have to open the roads up so people can come in. So there's costing involved there. We left the November 15th in because November 15th to April 15th is our winter control time for the Public Works Department. And we have to honor that first. So if we can work within that better weather in the fall, that we can actually inter people into December, then that fee will not be there, because It's up to the discretion of the director to say, this is a normal burial, right? And then after that, if it's no, then it's no. There won't be any burials, interments, or niche burials.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you. Any other questions from members? Oh, seeing none. Okay. Thank you very much. That's a lot of stuff, and it's good seeing that come to fruition. Okay, at this time we'll go to, we don't have a mover or seconder.
No, maybe through your worship. So, yeah, before you, now that council has seen the presentation, is to direct for the bylaw to come back as presented. So unless council wanted to see any changes beyond what was there, there's the staff recommended motion. So I guess if council wanted to see a restructuring of the sport field rental structure, so that's on a per game rate, now would be the time to do so, and we could prepare a slightly different motion. It would, but it's fully within where council wants to go with it.
Deputy Reeve, go ahead, please.
Thank you, through your Reeve. I'm not sure if this would be the portion. I still, going back to the cross-border fees, of amending that across the board. I know we don't have a contract, a separate contract with Central Huron, but we do have ratepayers that are paying 1.5 times the rate in the Blythe ward, but in no other ward does that apply. Like, there's very few. There's only about 3 that I can think of, but I'm just sure why we're harnessing them with 1.5 times when the rest of the municipality is at regular. And can that be amended through this process?
Go ahead, clerk.
Yeah, through you, your worship, to Deputy Falconer's question. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a process for tonight, but certainly something that if council wants to proceed with direction to staff, we can do. The fees and charges bylaw tonight is more along the lines of what fees will be charged as opposed to how they will be charged. So if you wanted to provide some sort of direction on when the cross-border fees in Central Huron would be charged, you would want to provide that direction either through some sort of policy or agreement with Central Huron, based on however council wants to proceed with that. I would say we probably want to deal with that independent of the annual review of the fees and charges bylaw, but certainly something that staff could do if council wanted to provide that direction.
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. So Carson, you're saying this is regarding the sports fields and potentially switching over to per game on a per game basis. Now, is that noted, or do we need to make an amendment?
Through your worship, to Councillor Palmer's question, you would need to make an amendment. As of right now, the staff recommended motion would be to bring the bylaw back as presented, which is structured based on what you saw tonight.
Because we're not changing the fee itself, but, okay, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that North Huron charges on a game basis for the sports fields. And as far as you're gonna have to tweak this one, as far as the lights, perhaps adjust it so it's in line comparatively. And like the Listowel one, it is both ways and it's written down. It's easy to understand.
So Councillor Palmer, just if this is what you're looking for, just let me know, but it'd be something along the lines of that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report from the interim treasurer dated November 3rd, 2025 regarding the 2026 draft fees and charges bylaw. And further, that council approves the proposed fee changes and directs the Director of Legislative Services clerk to include the bylaw on the November 17th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda for adoption, subject to an amendment to restructure the sports fields rental fees to be on a per game rate and to better align the sports field lighting costs.
Okay, Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, this is a question for Director Stuys. We're talking about all the fields, so the soccer, the baseball, the volleyball fields, or is that a fair comparison to change from hour to game between all those fields? Are they all, say, about average 2 hours? Like the soccer, the baseball, and the volleyball, and the usage of the fields? And also the light fee, like the youth is probably playing more during the light time than during daylight than at night. So I think the light fee should be separate from
It wouldn't be
the
charged.
game.
Charge the light fee. Right.
Well, so you still want to keep it separate. That's what I meant. Like, do you want to keep it separate or not?
Deputy Reed, please.
But is it fair to do them all over like all the fields, like soccer, baseball, volleyball, maybe pickleball, whatever is included? Is it fair to do a per game fee instead of an hourly fee? Are they all the same then?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Van Hittersum. I'm just going to look over to Rochelle because she does those bookings, and just to receive a comment from Rochelle around that, if you don't mind.
For you, Reeve Heffer, to put it to a game price would be fine. And that would be okay for all types of sports fields. But I do think that the light fee should be kept separate. When the younger children play earlier in the evening, they don't have to be charged the light fee. It's usually the adult teams later in the evenings that get charged the light fee. So whatever that ends up being, I think that should be separated from the flat rate or the game rate or the hourly rate, but it needs to be separate still, in my opinion.
May I follow up? And what can you tell me about the tournaments? Would that be of interest for the municipality, or is a 10-game tournament or a separate tournament fee? What is better? What do you think? What is appropriate?
I have seen it done both ways.
Yeah, I see it in here.
Yeah, so North Huron used to have a tournament fee, and then that was dropped years ago. I think a per game fee or an hourly fee would be fine for a tournament. There is a rate on that rate and fee charge for a special event fee, and that would be like a special event that comes in and use the park facility for the special event that's above and beyond the dragging of the diamonds and the maintaining of the diamonds for the sports.
Deputy Reed, please.
Yeah, through your, Reeve, just some clarification. North Huron doesn't currently own any soccer fields. So what fields are we having, like what fields are we gaining playing fees from that?
Go ahead.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Deputy Reeve Faulkner. Through the recent agreement with the Conservation Authority, we do have the authority to charge a fee for the use of Galbraith Park for soccer. And so we have Wingham Minor Soccer that uses that park and pays the township a fee. We also have some adult leagues that access the park and pay those fees as well. And that is as per our agreement, which has come through council and has received consent.
Just going to Clerk Lamb read this once more, please.
Yes. So the motion that has been moved by Councilor Palmer is that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report from the interim treasurer dated November 3rd, 2025 regarding the 2026 draft fees and charges bylaw, and further that council approves the proposed fee changes and directs the Director of Legislative Services clerk to include the bylaw on the November 17th, 2025 regular council meeting for adoption, subject to an amendment to restructure the sports fields rental fees to be on a per game rate and to better align the sport field lighting costs.
Thank you. We have a mover, seconder, please. Councillor Wright, all in favor? Carried. 6.4.1 Public Works 2025-33 tender results for SCADA upgrades to Wingham and Blythe water systems. Are there any questions for Director Watson at this time? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, I'm curious if the proponents in this process were notified in advance of the system that would going to be used in order to determine who the winner of the bid was.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Wright. When we developed the tender and we put it together, we were looking to generate the most modern integration that we could get to our system. We didn't give away exactly what we wanted to have. We wanted to have them bring it to us, what we needed. We were very careful in what we were asking, because we didn't want to give away our vulnerability in this aspect, because we're running a Windows 7 program right now on our SCADA. So what we didn't want to do was tell them what we have. We wanted them to bring a good upgraded system for our water system that will run the plants now and be future ready as well. So I'm sure you read the tender, so you didn't see that we were asking specifics, but we did ask for an upgrade.
Right, but as a follow-up, like, could there be an expectation that we are awarding this to the lowest bid? Because, we don't want to get into a situation where, someone could be challenging the award of this tender, right?
Right. If I may introduce Scott Gowan. He is the project manager for Veolia. He's worked with town staff on this right from the onset to make sure that we got the right equipment. And Scott, if you wanted to comment on that?
Sure, yeah. Sorry, through you, Reeve. Yeah, we certainly kind of, like Kevin said, didn't want to pre-select, so to speak, anything specific in this case. But when I reviewed the packages with Kevin and North Huron staff, price wasn't the only factor that was considered. There were a number of factors considered. So yeah, I would say we based it on the overall proposals that were received.
Yeah, so again, just as a follow-up, I'm familiar with the process of evaluating tenders. The point is, if the evaluation criteria wasn't put into the tender explicitly, does that not leave North Huron vulnerable to the lower bid vendors, disputing the tender process? Did we not just learn that on another recent example?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Wright. We did put in the tender that we were going to score everybody out of 60 points, and and the evaluation committee did such that. So it was fair, and we were confident that where we ended up is where we wanted to have the kind of system that we wanted to have. And they met the
So
criteria.
again, my question isn't on, did you do a good process? I'm confident you did. My question is, does this leave us legally liable if we didn't properly notify the people in the tender that we were following this process? And I'm not sure if you guys can answer that question, but that's the question.
Through you, Reeve, to Councillor Wright. I don't have the legal skills to answer that question.
Deputy, please.
Yeah, through you, Reeve. When putting out the tender and the bids coming back for the tender, all of the points on the tender would have to have been met for them to submit their tender. So is the lower one's $116,000, which is $171,000, almost twice the project, half the project's cost. would that not also fulfill the purpose of the tender? Like, if you're not going to actually, promote such and such a pump or equivalent, the tender, these prices are all on for the same tender. It's not fair if the one with the highest bid is giving you the most equipment when the lowest one is giving you this, if it's satisfactory to the quote or to the process. I'm not so much, in the process or delving in the process, but when there's such discrepancy over the 3 or 4, 5 tenders, and we've picked the highest one. Second highest one. Yeah, you're all right. You're correct. Yes. So the second highest one. I'm perplexed as how that project is going to come through. Why don't we choose the highest one if we're going to get a better product with the more money we spend? I would rather have the product come through, with an A1 score at the end and we're up to date versus. I just, I'm not privy to the scoring. I'm not privy to how the contract went. So it's very confused.
I'll turn this over to our clerk, Lamb, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So maybe this will help provide clarity. The word tender is being used interchangeably with a request for proposals. This is an RFP process, so it's not going through a formal tendering process. The township was soliciting proposals, and Section E of that, they have outlined the evaluation criteria that would be used to review those proposals.
Question, Deputy
Yeah,
Reeve?
yeah. So then does it go back out for tender after we have the request for proposal since it's not a tender? Like, I don't get, are they one and the same or are they two different things?
They're two separate processes that can equally be used for procurement. So you don't have to always go through tender to procure services. You can procure services through request for quotations, request for proposals, or a formal tendering process. The process that was used here was a request for proposals.
Does one leave us non-liable for improper do we get legal ramifications for a tender and we don't get it for an RFP? Or are they equal?
Tenders are generally more binding and have stricter obligations.
Curious why we would ever give one out. Why would we just give all RFPs?
Okay. You have something?
Yeah, if I could.
CAO, please.
Certainly when you're looking at projects and tenders, so when you're looking at straight capital reconstruction and projects, the materials, the product is pretty much similar and the same. When you're looking at a program such as SCADA, which is pretty intensive around technology and the tools and the inputs that are there. So, how much, data points do you need? How many ports do you need to connect to your systems can vary depending on what's being provided and presented. And again, depending on the expertise presented by the different proposals that are coming forward. So yes, you can provide a tender. It's very separate from a request for proposals when you're trying to fit a proposal in that fits your system. Because not every water and wastewater system is the same across the province. They have different, again, inputs. Your water capacity, your wastewater plants, what size are they? What are your inputs? So we're a relatively small system based on our customer base. So again, proponents could come in with the highest proposal of and presentation of aspects of the computers and the plugins that you need versus, or what they think you need versus what you can work with. And having Veolia on board helped us identify a scenario of what this is here's our bare minimum, here is the golden prize, and here's what would be beneficial for now, but also include some benefits for the future. And I think that's how they scaled through these proposals. We've got one that's bare bones, that was lower end, and we got some that are really high based on proposals submitted. What's in it for the long term for the municipality? And that's how the part of the scoring came into play, is how does it meet our technical requirements for the system and the service? So again, a tender is very specific to, again, much better utilized for capital programs, again, roadworks, installations. This is a program that's supposed to fit our municipality in the long term. So that's kind of why the RFP was a better approach. Each of the applicants or proposals that came on site. They saw the facilities firsthand, so they knew generally what the municipality, the township needed for the service, and they provided it based on that interaction with our township official, with the director, and with our Veolia reps. So again, the presentation here is not tender biased. It's more RFP for what's going to fit the long-term needs for the township. And I think that's why the RFP being presented in the 6 stages and there's different 6 scoring points puts the municipality in a stronger position versus a straight tender for lower value wins. I believe there was language in this RFP that said not the lowest bidder would receive the award. So I think that's the other part of the coverage from the legal side that I was reviewing. But definitely this is a much different process than a straight tender.
Thank you. Are there any other questions at this time? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, I guess just to comment. So I am familiar with RFP processes more than tenders, and I agree they do give a lot more flexibility. But I just want to point out in the report under discussion, it says, as noted above, there are 5 bidders. The tender submissions are as follows. So let's take, if it's a big difference between an RFP and tender, let's just make sure in the reports that we're consistent and clear in that.
Okay. Okay.
Question through, how does the taxpayer know that they're getting the best deal then? It's an open question. As far as with lowest tender, what deals you're getting through this process, we don't know whether we're getting the best.
Okay, I'll go to Director Watson, please.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Deputy Falconer. We really kind of leaned on Actimium as they've been working in the integration world for about 45 years. They've done a lot of work in and around our area. They've got a really good pedigree for the work that they've done in SCADA and doing wastewater and water plants. So that really leaned us towards them as well because of the great work that they've done over the province and the accountability that they have, and the fact that they will be available to us when we need help. And so there was a lot of boxes that we had out there, and they ticked them all.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wright, please.
Just a question. I assume the results of the evaluation would be available through an access to information application. Is that correct?
Through your worship, to Councillor Wright's question, we actually post the unofficial tender results right on the website for all of them as well.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we've been around the table for questions. At this time, we'll go to, I need a mover. Councillor Wright, Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. 6.4.2, PW 2025-34 Cemetery Bylaw Update. At this time, are there any questions for Director Watson? Seeing none, may I have a mover? Councillor Van Hitterson, seconder. Councillor Wright, all in favor? Carried. 6.4.3, Public Works 2025-35, changes to the recycling program. Yes, I'll go ahead. Are there any questions at this time for Director Watson? Go ahead, Councillor Van Hitterson, please.
Thank you, Reeve Heffer. Mr. Watson, this is just regarding the recycling, isn't it? It's so the people will still have to put their bags with garbage out, and then next year we'll look at a new contract for that as well.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Van Hitterson, you are correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying I know that none of this is North Huron's doing or initiation. But it seems to me that we're at real risk that come January 1st, there's going to be a large swath of people that currently have recycling services that won't have recycling services. Not because we're not necessarily going to want to give it to them, but because they can't even get bins in order to put the recycling in. Like, I guess I just want to get it out there verbally, like, and so I don't know if we should be trying to do some public education on this because we know whose phone's going to be ringing. It's not going to be Queen's Park. We know it's going to be Circular Materials or, right? So I just wonder if we should be trying to get the message out there that this change is coming. We're trying our best to mitigate any consequences, but there's just not a lot of options in front of the municipality at this point.
Okay, Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. If I'm not mistaken, we had the fees and charges. Was there not a measure in there to remove the bag tag? So if we remove the bag tag and we're still collecting garbage, I'm just curious as to, and that further that is, will we be seeing a reduction in the budgeting since we are no longer paying for the recycling? Are we expecting to see a reduction in the next year for our tax when we do go through our taxes? And how does that go if we're taking the bag tag away and still having to pay for garbage?
Go ahead, Director Watson, please.
So through you, Reeve Heffer to Deputy Reeve or Falconer, with the bag tag, that would be at the end of the year, going into 2026, that would be removed because at that point in time, we would be under a new contract for the with the wheelie bins for that. So at that point in time, well, the bag tag really has nothing to do with that's solid waste. So the bag tag has nothing to do with the recycling.
Go ahead.
In terms of your other question, Deputy Falconer, so year over year budget, in the 2025 budget, we did budget less for recycling costs because we knew that part of that was going to be reduced with the move to producer responsibility. So the amount we budgeted this year for recycling was that portion we covered from ICIs from April till December when they were able to continue to co-collect. So we had to produce the amount of ICIs we had in our municipality. Waste Management gave us a contract, and that's the figure we used in the budget for 2025. But we know as of the end of December, they cannot continue to co-collect along with the eligible residential. So,
Councillor Wright, please.
Sorry, I admit I perhaps missed this point when we were doing the fee schedule. Does the fee schedule removing the fees for garbage bag tags? Is that what it proposed?
Through you, Reeve Heffer to Councillor Wright, it will be looked at the end of the year when we go into a new contract after January 1st.
So it's not being eliminated, it's just there's no change to it
Right.
at this point. Okay, got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing, just while my mic is on here, just my thoughts, because we have to propose an option. We don't provide recycling services to any industrial users now. So I don't think that's something we want to take on. Not that we have a bunch of large industrial users in North Huron right now anyways, but certainly we have to consider institutional recycling because that actually affects our own buildings, along with things like libraries and schools. And then, I guess the other decision is, do we want to continue to support our mainstream businesses from a commercial perspective? My thoughts on that, of course, I'm on the Wingham BIA, so I'm going to be biased here. But my thoughts on that is, they pay taxes now, they get recycling now. Their taxes are not going to go down because of this, right? So my thoughts are we should be continuing to provide them with recycling services because it's just kind of maintaining the existing level of service that we're providing already, right? So just my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, at this time now we have information here. My one question was what would the other municipalities, I'm talking about here in county, do we have any information on them, what they're doing? Because I'm sure they're all told with this last short time, they're going to have to come up with this by the 31st of December. Do you have any anything with that, Director?
To your reef, I did reach out to the directors in in our bordering areas, and received only one, respondent. That was from Godrich, and they are under a different contract than we are. They are going to stay status quo until 2027. I would assume that's when their contract for their circular materials ends, but they are going to stay status quo
School.
until the end of next year.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So at this time now, could you read the,
Well, I guess, your worship, so at this point now, yeah, staff require an option. So there's the three staff proposed options in the report. It's not necessarily an exclusive list of options if council has others, but staff require direction for what this looks like effective January 1st.
Deputy Reeve, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. As this is a situation that's been brought on to us by the province, not the doing of the township, I think any option that the township would have to then reimburse or supplement the province's initiative through taxpayer dollars would be at a disadvantage unless we're doing it at the same as every other municipality in Ontario, which is facing the same thing. So I'm just saying the option one, it's no longer a municipal problem. It's a provincial problem and it's a manufacturing problem. For us to reinvent the wheel and fix the problem for them, I think it would be doing a disservice to our taxpayers. I'm not going to put forward an option at this time, but I'm just bringing that for information that this is, it was not a full thought out process by the province and just dumped on municipalities to, either continue costing to the taxpayers when it shouldn't. That's my opinion.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, so the motion I would like to propose is similar to option two, but basically just carving out any mention of industrial users. So it would just apply to commercial and institutional users.
I'll just let Clerk Lamb, go ahead, Councillor Van Hitterson, please.
Yeah, will there still be recycling containers at the dump or not for like farmers?
Minute?
Well, two, if you need.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Van Hitterson. They will remain at the dump and they'll be for residential.
For residential.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer, please.
If what you're suggesting, Councillor Wright, carving out industrial, well then they have to be given something, like where are they? We can't just leave them floating, so either they're on their own or they get to use a bin that we supply at the dump or something like that. Like it has to be suggested as what we do with them.
Right, so just to clarify my motion, I don't believe they participated in the Blue Box program before, right? They would have had their own commercial contracts for both garbage and recycling. So by carving them out of option two, I think it basically just maintains the status quo we have for all the different users.
I guess through your worships, anyone left out of the approach for what North Huron's covering for ICIs would be responsible for then determining their own arrangements for their recycling collection. So the motion, Council Wright, just let me know if this isn't what you're looking for, but it would be something along the lines of that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report of the Director of Public Works and Facilities dated November 3rd, 2025, regarding upcoming changes to recycling programming in the Township of North Huron effective January 1st, 2026. And further, that Council directs staff to proceed with option number 2, exclusive of industrial users, as identified in staff report PW 2025-35 regarding the collection option for industrial, commercial, and institutional properties, ICI, within the boundaries of the Township of North Huron as of January 1st, 2026.
Okay, Deputy Reeves, second it?
No, I have
Oh,
a question on that.
okay.
On that. If circular waste, the waste management people that are picking up the bins are saying that they won't pick up for churches and for stores and such under the contract that they're having with the municipality, and that responsibility coming off of the municipality, is that motion putting the tax base to pay for that portion above back onto the taxpayers, the residents, to pay for the commercial, where the commercials are under the contract for the province separated from residential? If we're adding them back in, that's going to become a cost for the municipality that the province was trying to take away from the municipalities having to pay. I'm just curious if that, is that the intent of that motion? To put that onto the residential taxpayers for the commercial?
So the intent of the motion is that the commercial institutional recycling pickup is on the taxpayers' dollars now. So it's not an extra cost, it's just a cost that will continue. Because as I said before, those properties, they're not going to see, if we take recycling away, they're not going to see a tax break, right? So I don't think it's fair to those property owners to get a reduction in services and not reduction in taxes. The motion I proposed is basically just geared towards the fact that you're maintaining taxes as they are, you're maintaining services that those taxes are paying for. The net result, I would hope, is that our overall taxation bill goes down because we're saving on all the residential recycling pickup.
Okay, last, before we take a seconder, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, taking the recycling off of, you're saying that it was never taken off, or what they were getting it before. They will be getting a tax base if the recycling is taken off their tax base. It may go on to their own fortitude, as it is in industrial, to have a contract for their own, but they also have the ability through their suppliers to forge some kind of an agreement, because they have a much higher recycling when they're bringing in boxes. They're doing a business. So for that to come back on the taxpayer, when it's not in the legislation, it's not, they will find they can take what they would come off their taxes they were paying for recycling now and purchase. I realize what you're getting at, but that's outside of the scope of the provincial mandate.
Okay, gotta go. Okay, at this time, I have a mover, I'm looking for a seconder. Somebody like to second it, please? Counselor Whitfield? All in favor? It's defeated, 3-3. So, okay, we need required direction. Okay, go ahead.
I'll make the motion to accept option 1.
Okay, option 1. Deputy Reeve, do we have a seconder for, just wait, I'll seconder for option 1, and then I'll have Kirk Lamb read it. Counselor Van Hitterson? I'll get you to read it, please.
So the motion on the floor is that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report of the Director of Public Works and Facilities dated November 3rd, 2025 regarding upcoming changes to the recycling programming in the Township of North Huron effective January 1st, 2026. And further, that council directs staff to proceed with option number 1 as identified in staff report PW 2025-35 regarding the collection option for industrial, commercial, and institutional ICI properties within the boundaries of the Township of North Huron as of January 1st, 2026. So your movers, Deputy Falconer, your seconder is Councillor Van Hitterson.
All in favor? Defeated.
The other option is if council's not comfortable making a decision, you could defer the matter to the next meeting. That being said, these changes are taking effect January. So Public Works staff are probably going to want to get some notice out to the public on what all this looks like soon.
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Well, let's try option 3 and have containers at the dump, and they can bring it out to the dump like a lot of other folks do.
Okay, so we have Councillor Palmer, mover, seconder. Somebody second Councillor Palmer's motion is number 3. Seconder. Yeah, just wait. It's going to be read. Do you want to read it or you already?
Yeah, it's in the report.
Go ahead, CAO, please.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Certainly, in terms of trying to provide council members with a little bit more information, would be of more value for the direction to come back to staff to pursue what would the cost of option 3 look like and bring that back at a future meeting prior to the start of January 1. So then we kind of can know what that cost would be if we're going to install what size bins, because they do come in different kinds of sizes, and we can kind of get some more information to council with what those costs would look like.
Okay, but then you've got to guess what the income portion would be, because in it talks about the ICIs would pay according to weight, whatever that is.
Correct. Through Mr. Reef, the opportunity would be to, if we identify what size of the bins would be and the number of them, we can put the capacity of them and an estimate maybe on a monthly weight, how much we receive on a monthly basis, what that value would be in return. There's still going to be a cost at the end of the day. It's not a zero end game, noting that we still have to cover our own costs for our own facilities, including the arena and recreation centers, where we have, we're also collecting recyclables. So we're still going to have costs on that tax base because of the services there. So there might be something we can present in some form.
Okay, Reeve, I'll retract it then, my motion, and I'll make a new motion that we defer it so that council can get more information from staff.
Okay. Okay, we have a mover. May I have a seconder? Councillor Van Hitterson. Just give our clerk time to type up here. Keeping him busy tonight. All in favor? Carried. CAO 2025-27 direct grant for structural work application 345 Queen Street, Blythe, Pickaposy Vintage. Are there any questions for our EDO? It looks like a big job going on there by the looks of it, by your report there. And so at this time, there's no questions. I'll ask for a mover. Deputy Reeve, seconder. Councillor Van Hitterson. All in favor? Carried. Any notice of motion? Seeing none. Bylaws. Number 77-2025, appointment of Director of Finance / Treasurer. May I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, seconder. Councillor Van Hitterson, all in favor? Carried. 9.2 bylaw number 78-2025, Programs and Service Agreement with MVCA. May I have a mover? Counselor Van Hitterson. Seconder. Counselor Whitfield. All in favor? Carried. Council reports. At this time, just read activity report. We had sustainable hearing meeting and it was talked about energy. And I guess what got me by we're in 2025 now, by 2050, they figured they need 75% more power. That is staggering. That seemed to come out quite a bit. And yeah, it's very interesting meeting. Also, the fish fry, want to give kudos out to Chad, our fire chief, and all their workers that put on a great dinner there week ago Sunday, and it was enjoyed by a lot. And at this time we had Vance Fun. It's going to be coming forward at our next meeting, but we just have. I can say we have 5 projects that Director Stice and our Public Works is going to have to get working at, which is very, very good. And I want to remind each of you on Wednesday is volunteer recognition down in Blythe Memorial Hall. I'm hoping you're able to make it out and recognize what the volunteers do in our North Huron, because as already mentioned, I remember one of our counselors saying how nice the main street and the Crookshank Park looked and different things like that. These groups do beautify our town, and it is very good. And now we can go out and recognize what they do. And because I'm sure a lot of them don't know what other part of the municipality is doing, it's going to be a great collaboration there. And so thank you. At this time, I'll go to council member board and committee reports. Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, thanks through you, Reeve. So I just wanted to report on the Wingham BAAs moving ahead with their large project, which is between this year and next year. They're installing a second electronic sign closer to the north end of town by the old train station. The thought there is that the electronic sign at the south end of town is seen by a lot of people coming to town, but not so much by our own residents. So that's why we're going to put in a second electronic sign. The interest in advertising on the signs is actually quite high. And our local BIA members get the opportunity for free advertisements on those signs, since their BIA dollars help to pay for it. But there's actually interest in actually third parties advertising on those signs too. So we're moving ahead with that and be able to generate a bit of extra revenue for the BIA. So just want to report on that. Thank you, Reeve.
Thank you. Any comments by members? Go ahead, Deputy Reed, please.
Yeah, through you, Reeve. Just curious, with the amount of information that we're going to have to decipher on the recycling, I wonder if that should be a special council meeting.
Well, I'll discuss that with our
It's just-
CEO.
Yeah, because we should have a input from the BIAs. If it's going to affect them, then we don't have the process of that to happen directly into the results of that. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other one, no closed session, or we have 14.1 bylaw number 79-2020. Oh, next meeting's up at 12. I think you all have read that, but I want to bring your attention to the Court of Revision for the Snell Municipal Drain Project 2025 will be held on Wednesday, November the 5th, 2025 at 10 a.m. right here in the North Huron Council chambers. Again, that's the Court of Revision for the Snell Municipal Drain. Again, the next BIA Wingham meeting will be held on November 20th at 6:30 at the Hot Stove Lounge. Our next Blythe BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, November 27th, and again, followed by our, that'll be it then at this time. Are there any other announcements you'd like to bring forward? Seeing none, bylaw number 79-2025 confirmatory bylaw, may I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, Deputy Reeve, all in favor? Carried. Adjournment that the Council of Township of North Huron agree that there being no further business before council, the November 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting be hereby adjourned at 7:39. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, seconder. Counselor Whitfield. All in favor? Carried.